My favorite thing. I always go out, well actually, when I believe so much that we should have a mission story, like a mission phrase. I always have a class assignment for my counselors to be able to tell their mission or their philosophy of counseling in a breath. A haiku is that poem 575. It's to be in a breath. And so what's your philosophy in a breath? What's my mission story of living my life in a breath? And it goes with a story that fits so well with what you said about motherhood, and I'll just give it to you right now. When I was a school counselor, my mission story goes like this. De var gång 3 böcker som skulle gå till sättsjorden sig fetta och alla 3 så hade böckerna brusa. Well, it's a 3 Billy Goats gruff, but of course you didn't know that. It was a Norwegian. But I believe that we're all Billy Goats, and sometimes those little Billy Goats need big Billy Goats to help them get across the bridge and deal with the trolls in life. So it was my mission story as a guidance counselor. But now as a counselor of big people, I have another mission story, and it's like this. There was this farmer working on his tractor, and a guy came down the lane. And he asked if he could have some odd jobs to make a few bucks. The farmer said, yeah, I'll show you what you can do. And he brought him over to this muddy ravine between his property and another farm across the way. He said, see that farm over there? It's my brother's. Best friends for years. I don't know what started it. He's not talking to me. I'm not talking to him. Yesterday he took a bulldozer through this land, made this muddy ravine between our properties, and you can build me a wall so big I can look over there and I won't see his place. Well, carpenter said, I guess I see the situation. Give me some lumber and a post hole digger, I'll get to work. And so the farmer brought the things he needed and they went to town for some errands. When he returned, the carpenter was just finishing his masterpiece. But there was no wall. In its place was a beautifully constructed bridge spanning that muddy gully, and the younger brother making his way across. And when the brothers met in between, they hugged, and the younger brother said, I can't believe you went to all this trouble and expense after what I said I did to you. At that moment, they started hearing the tools being collected, and they turned and told the carpenter, don't leave now, bud, we got a lot more for you to do around here. But the carpenter said, oh, I'd love to stay, but I gotta go. Got more bridges to build. And we will continue to build bridges between our children, between our spouses, between our in-laws. And so in this time of life, you're building bridges in the way that fits you. So when you have to look at those monumental things that you feel are facing you, take them apart. Put them into little things, like the little kid that I heard said, you know how you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. So 1 step at a time to change a child's behavior. One sleepless night will make a little bit less, maybe, in another month. Can't give it a year. But 1 thing at a time. So how do you do it? So pretend that you're 55, and you're looking back and saying, there's so many things I wish I could relax about now that I didn't. I wish I could be older and wiser when I had my kids. I would have done better, I know. But I can't. But you can. You can relax and say, it's going to be okay. But other people think, they have a problem. I'll do the best that I can for these little ones. And I'll leave you with this encouragement, which I want you to know, I teach counselors to be counselors. And I tell them the best counseling tool that you have in your back pocket is one that I know I grew up on. And that's encouragement. Your child will grow through encouragement. And it's not bad to give it to them. It's the foundation of their belief in themselves. So don't be afraid to be encouragers. So let me give you this last story to send you on your way. There was a woman who had a daughter who was always asking her to come up and see the daffodils. And maybe you know this story. And the mother always had a couple excuses why she couldn't make the trip up to see those daffodils. Finally one day she couldn't put her off again, and so she took the 2-hour trip up to her daughter's in the rain and mist. And she got there and she said, I'm not going to go look at any daffodil garden. I want to play with my grandsons and that's it. All right, the daughter said, but can you just take me to the garage where my car is getting fixed? Because I got to pick it up. And she agreed to do that. So the daughter was going to drive since she knew where the garage was, and they got in and they turned opposite of the garage. And the mother said, "We're not going to the garage, are we?" And the daughter said, "No, we aren't." And they made their trip to this place where there was a little church and a sign that said Daffodil Garden behind. So they got out of the car and they walked the path toward the Daffodil Garden, and when they came over the crest of the hill, they found a mountainside covered with every hue of yellow and gold that you can imagine. It took her breath away as she gazed upon this beautiful field of daffodils of every color. It looked like someone had taken a big paint of yellow and poured it down the side of the mountain. Golden rods, and oh, it was just beautiful. And the mother said, "Who did this?" And the young daughter said, "Well, actually, it was an older woman that lives not too far from here. We can go up to her house right now." So they followed the path and they came to the sign before they got to the house, and it said, all the questions you've been wanting to ask. Number 1, 50,000 bulbs. Number 2, planted by one woman, one at a time, with 2 hands, 2 feet, but very little brain. Number 3, started in 1958. And the woman looked at her daughter and she said, "Wow, just think if I had taken something and started it 40 years ago and did a little bit of it every day, think of the changes that I could have made in my world." And her daughter looked at her and she said, "Well, Mom, start tomorrow."